Hello, welcome to Bourbon and a Baby. My name is Jay. Max will not be joining us tonight because Max is still not yet old enough, even though he just recently turned 3, to drink Ohio bourbon. And we have another episode today of Drink Ohio Bourbon. This is a series that I do where I like to highlight bourbons or whiskeys that are being made and distilled and released in my home state of Ohio. So today we actually don't have a bourbon though. We have Middle West Spirit Straight Wheat Whiskey. Now I don't know the mash bill on this. I was not able to find it anywhere. So in order for it to be considered a wheat whiskey, it has to be at least 51% comprised of wheat. So that's all I know. I do know that if there is a rye in here, they use a pumpernickel rye usually. So I don't know if this contains any of that or not. I have no idea. If anybody does know, hit me up in the comments and let me know. This is at least 3 years old. That's how it's age stated. It's 92 proof or 48%. And yeah, this is being made in Columbus, Ohio. If you've watched the channel before, you've heard me talk about Middle West quite a bit. It's definitely my favorite, probably my overall favorite Ohio distillery. I think they make great stuff. I've previously reviewed their wheated bourbon, and this one's a favorite of mine. This I have not had yet, so I'm excited to try it. And later on, after I try this, I'm going to put it up against the wheated bourbon and see which one I prefer. So excited about that too. And one last thing I want to say about Middle West and their either their wheat whiskey or their wheated bourbon, is they actually buy their wheat from my personal hometown of Fostoria, Ohio. So it always makes me feel good, not only when I buy a bottle of this, that I'm supporting an Ohio company, being that they're out of Columbus, Ohio, obviously, but also that those dollars are also coming back to my hometown a little bit, some of those dollars of Fostoria, Ohio. So it always makes me kind of a proud Fostorian, Fostoria alum to put some money towards that. So, all right, let's go ahead. First of all, checking the color here, and it's a nice dark color, maybe a little bit darker than you would even expect. I don't know, I guess when I hear wheat whiskey, I expect it to look a little bit lighter, even though there's really no rhyme or reason for that. That's just one thing I would think in my mind. But 3 years old, or at least 3 years old, it is showing some really good color there. So I like that. All right, let's check the nose. Oh man. It's very pleasant, very soft. I feel like some people could take soft as a bad thing, but it's really good. And it's like a nice soft spring day, you know, like where it's like the perfect weather outside. I know that's a weird smell description, but picture it with me. There's a lot of sweetness coming through here. And wheat, you know, when you think of when wheat's added to a traditional bourbon mash bill, usually in place of rye, one of the reasons that they tend to do that is because wheat really doesn't carry a lot of the flavor, and in that instance, it lets the corn shine, and that's where you get a lot of the sweetness. And I think that's probably the same thing here, even though this is a higher wheat total mash bill, you're really still getting a lot of that sweetness off the corn. there's like a soft fruitiness here. I'm not great with placing my fruit scents, because I personally don't eat a lot of fruit, but there's just a light, soft fruitiness and a bit of citrus even. Yeah, like a little bit of orange. Some orange zest really coming through. Yeah, it just smells lovely. It makes me, just smelling it makes me want to drink it. So let's go. Cheers. See, this is why I love Middle West. It's such... I expected it to just hit me with a lot of sweetness. And it was weird because it was sweet up front, but then real quick, it kind of hit the sides of my tongue, and I get a little spiciness, and I think that's a bit of the oakiness I'm getting in that spice region there. And then I got sweet again as it kind of went down and kind of warmed up. And then it's like, it's almost going back and forth between sweet and spicy. I get a little black pepper even. I definitely get more oak on the palate than I did on the nose. But everything, with as much as it's going back and forth, it does it like really softly. So it's like a mild... It's like a mild flavor explosion in your mouth. It sounds like an oxymoron, right? But you get hit with all these different flavor sensations. And usually when you're drinking a bourbon or a whiskey, and when that happens, it's more bold. And it happens, and kind of knocks you back a little bit. But this does it in a way that's just like real soft. It's like getting a massage. Like, not like a deep tissue massage where they're drilling in, but like a nice, soft, soothing massage. They hit you with a little bit over here. They hit you with a little bit over here, and it just feels great, right? And I want to take another sip here because now I'm getting a little bit of that fruitiness on the finish, kind of the remnants in my mouth. Almost reminds me of like when you, not when you first bite into it, but like when you almost have all of the flavor out of a juicy fruit gum. It's kind of the flavor that's left behind here. So let's take another sip. And I definitely think that there probably is some rye in here, because I feel like I can pick that up too. If not, it's definitely coming from the barrel then. But it's almost like, it almost is like a rye bread flavor with a rye bread flavor with some like brown sugar on it. And then again, you get kind of that sweet and spicy. The second sip though, I'm getting less of the spice. Definitely getting less of the spice. But it's still kind of that mild flavor explosion going back and forth. This is really good. This is really, I'm going to be really interested when I try it up against the wheated bourbon here. And at 92, there's 92 proof, right? Is that what I said? Yes, at 92 proof, I mean, honestly, this drink's, it's not hot at all. If you are just wanting to get into whiskey and bourbon, this would be like a great way to start. You know, if you're looking for something that's smooth, something that doesn't have too much heat, something that doesn't burn, something that doesn't shock your system, this is it. And a lot of times people will describe those types of bourbons or whiskeys almost as a negative, especially as deep into the weeds as we get here on WhiskeyTube, right? Like if you're watching this video and it's not your first time watching a video on bourbon on YouTube, then you're probably getting into the weeds with it too, right? But this is like a really, really good everyday drink. Like it's crushable. You could sit back and drink this. It's probably pretty dangerous. I mean, I could see myself sitting back and just knocking this back, almost like I'm not drinking whiskey, right? Because it's just so easy to drink, and yet it maintains so much flavor, which I think is a really, really good attribute to it. Yeah, I really like that a lot. So again, just for experimentation's sake, this I've been touting for a while now. It's become a favorite pour of mine. This is like, and one thing I love these bottles and I love the look, but one thing I wish Middle West would do with these two products is change it up just a bit because they look too similar to each other. And it's easy to mix up. But the bourbon, the straight wheated bourbon, I think they pronounce it Miquelon Reserve. This has been one that I suggest to people all the time. I work in a bourbon bar. Every time I've suggested it to somebody, I've never gotten a bad reaction from it. It's become a personal favorite of mine. It's become a go-to of mine. So be really curious to see how I think it pairs next to the wheat whiskey here. So, okay. And this is 95 proof, so just three proof points higher. I get like on the wheat whiskey, that sweetness on the nose really comes through way more than the wheated bourbon. And I feel like expectation-wise, I would expect that to be the opposite. Yeah, this nose in the wheat whiskey is much sweeter. It's much more prominent. It's much more complex. It's a little darker. It even has a little nuttiness to it. But I definitely, I like the nose on this better than the nose on this so far. So okay, this is the wheated bourbon. Let's give it a taste. So this hits you with a lot more of that spice. Hits you with a lot more oak too. And I feel like it's around the same age. I don't know if they particularly say. It's not on the bottle. I mean, it's straight, so it has to be at least 2 years. I'm assuming it's around the same age though, where it's at least 3 years. But this tastes a lot more oak, a lot more of those wood flavors on the wheated bourbon than on the wheat whiskey. Yeah, I think, and I think more prominent with the spicy notes, more prominent with the oak, and a lot more nuttiness to the bourbon. They're both fantastic. I don't know if I could pick a winner, to be honest with you. I love them both, but they're both different. I think ultimately you can't go wrong either way. If you want a little bit more of the darker flavors, go with the bourbon. If you want a lot more of the sweeter flavors, go with the wheat whiskey. And if you're just dipping your toes into whiskey, this is a great starter whiskey for you. This straight wheat whiskey. All right, last thing I'm going to do real quick. Let's blend them together and see what we get. Do a little science experiment here. Do a quick blend. Still get a lot of that sweetness, but it almost tames it down a bit. But getting the darker notes too. I kind of lose the fruit that I had on the wheat whiskey nose alone, though. Interesting. It kind of tamed both of them down a little bit, which I kind of expected them to kind of, I don't know, maybe it needs more time to mingle, but I kind of expected them to complement each other more, but really I feel like it just kind of, okay, now on the finish, it really brings the oakiness out a lot more. I like it. It's good. Okay. Again, can't recommend this enough. Can't love Middle West spirits enough. Keep doing what you're doing down in Columbus, Ohio. You're making great whiskey and bourbon. So that's another episode of Drink Ohio Bourbon. They do distribute. I believe they're in at least 20 states now. So look this up. You will like it. I almost can guarantee it. I think you'll like it. Please check it out. Give them some love. They're doing some great stuff. They're a great craft distillery. All right. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can follow Max and myself on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Bourbon and a Baby on all of those platforms. Give us some love there. And if you want some Bourbon and a Baby merchandise, hit me up. I'll put the link to our shop on Spreadshirt in the description below. And throw me some comments too. Have you tried this before, and what are your thoughts on it? So please hit me up in the comments below as well. Thanks. Cheers, everybody. Very good. Very good. All right, and as you know, I gotta throw this into my Bourbon and a Baby infinity bottle. So I'm gonna free pour because I forgot to bring my jigger down here, but I'm gonna free pour what I think is about an ounce into my infinity bottle. All right, get some good Ohio wheat whiskey in there.